Eric Primm.
How's it going, man?
I'm good. Again, thank you so much for joining me on such short notice.
Thanks for the invite.
I'm always, I'm always just so. The words kind of escaped me. What am I? I don't know what I am, but we have so many interesting people at the gym.
We really do.
It's so fucking awesome. We just have such an eclectic group of people, and I knew that you were a martial artist,
Yes.
but I had no idea that you're a scientist. I know talking to you, like you're obviously a very smart guy. Like that,
Thank you.
that comes across. But you're
I'm,
you're what?
I've always had like three pillars of my life: martial arts, writing, and then science. And I'm an engineer now. And whenever you meet someone from like that group, they don't know about the others, so they're always kind of weirded out.
That's funny. So they're all kind of siloed.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like you, man. I like to. I would rather listen to somebody else talk and try to get to know what's up with them because there's so many people out there and you never know their stories.
Yeah,
You
yeah. I
know.
mean, you can learn a lot just by listening, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm so interested in stories, and I think that's what podcasting uh, gets me more than anything is like, Rogan and all the people I've found through him. Just listening to their stories and listening to the stories that you've been putting out is fantastic because you never know. People have such variety, such wild lives, and their interests are um, so varied. Um, that's one of the reasons why I like Twitter.
Yeah.
Is because you'll see somebody that like you follow. I follow one guy for books, and then he just wrote this rant about heirloom apples, and I don't care about heirloom apples, but it was interesting the way that he wrote it. And it's
Yeah.
like, why do you care? And then like at the end, you're like, oh, that's why you care.
Humans are amazing. We're such weird creatures.
We are.
We are weird ass creatures, and people are the weirdest on the internet.
Yes.
You can be yourself.
You can be yourself. You can let your freak flag fly.
Yeah, yeah, man, yeah, almost to a fault at times. It is some wild shit, but
Yeah. So I'm a structural engineer here in St. Louis for the large aerospace company. I've been doing that for over a decade now.
so okay, how how did you get into how did you like what was your path into being like an engineer?
Back in high school, I love to write. I love to draw, and I've always had kind of an artistic side.
Hmm.
But I've also noticed that there's a limit. Like, I was never going to be a comic book artist. I was never going to be a great painter. But I liked it. And there was a high school class that was architectural drawing and engineering drawing, and I really liked it
Hmm.
because it allowed me to. I liked math at the same time, and so it kind of, you would take a straight edge and you draw it 3 inches here and 3 inches here, and then you'd scale things up and down. So I could create drawings that would look like something that I couldn't do freehand. And when I started researching engineering, that's where like that drawing kind of pushed me on over into it, where you could take math and physics and make something in the real world.
So you knew pretty young, like that was kind of a path that you were wanting to pursue.
Yeah, yeah. I'm one of the rare ones that
Yeah,
knew.
I was gonna say, man, because I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do at that age. Okay.
Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes like maybe I should have done something else. But I love what I do, even though it's like any job, it gets frustrating as hell sometimes. But
Yeah, I can dig it.
yeah,
So it's almost embarrassing to admit, but dude, what is the term engineer? Is that just like a broad term? Because
yeah.
it's okay. Because I'm just like I don't know what is an engineer exactly?
The best I've been able to come up with is it's a practical physicist, practical chemist. So
Where do you fall into this?
I would be more on the physics side. So
Okay.
like the stuff that we do um, would be beams and kind of balancing forces. So like think of like a teeter totter, and
Mm-hmm.
you know how like you get the fat kid a little closer in, and you got to get the skinny kids way out, and you could get it to balance.
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of my job. It's like balancing those forces to make sure that something doesn't break.
Oh.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh.
a few years ago, I took one of those Dale Carnegie courses, and they were like, you need to find a way to separate yourself from the crowd, and I knew instantly. And it was, I'm the guy that makes sure the wings don't fall off the plane,
Yeah.
and it's easy. Everybody understands that, and they're kind of like, yeah,
Yeah, that's an easy way to put it. That's a really good way to put it.
yeah,
Huh. So the image that comes to mind, I remember whenever I was in I don't know, middle school, like seventh grade, we had this tech ed class, is
hmm
what we called it. And one of the stations that you could do was you built a bridge, and then like you tested it to failure.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what comes to mind.
That's exactly my job. Yeah, except on airplanes.
Specifically on airplanes.
hmm
Oh shit,
Yeah. Uh,
that's important work.
yeah, yeah, sort of. Um,
I mean, I appreciate you. I like making it where I'm going.
yeah, I went to Rolla, University of Missouri Rolla, which is now Missouri University of Science and Tech or something.
Yeah, S&T.
And I hired into Ford out of college, and that's a different type of engineering than what you do in college, because they're more interested in, we have this bolt over here that costs 5 cents less than the one we have in this car. Can we
Uh-huh.
put that bolt in this car? And so I'm not really designing the bolt. I'm just trying to get it over here, and then I'm designing the all the tests to make sure that it's safe for this part. And what does it take to get the guy on the line who has to put like 400 of these per day in? Can he do that safely? Can he do it effectively? What tools do we have to change out? And that to me was, it's not why I went to school, and it was frustrating. And then I came to Boeing, and Boeing was like homework. So I was doing my homework again.
Yeah.
I write reports, and in there's a lot of math. There's a lot of arguments. So it's like I always tell people that what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create an argument for why this part that I'm working on
Uh-huh.
is safe to put on the plane.
Oh, so you're like justifying constantly.
Yep, yep, yep. And depending on who I've worked with, sometimes in my career it gets pretty combative. It's like a real debate.
Uh-huh.
Um, Now, luckily, the people I work with now are much better, so we can have civil discussions and we can go back and forth. But yeah, um, I'll create the document, and then somebody will look at it, and we'll talk about why I did this, why I did that. Um, and it has to go through certain processes before it can go out there, and they have their whole internal design specs, and then they have to test certain things, and then the FAA has to agree to it, or the military, depending on what you're working on, and then somebody goes out and manufactures it. It's interesting.
Holy shit. So I mean that's a whole process. So
Yeah.
so at times do you have to like ever go in front of like a board or anything and like and present I don't know like maybe I don't understand the entire process.
No, no. Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, I've had to. Mm, that tends to be rare because everything's kind of built in, and we have
Yeah.
we have enough background and history and services to fulfill that role. But occasionally, yeah, and the higher the priority, the more critical the part, the higher it tends to go up. And are we on schedule? Are we off schedule? Kind of all of that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Um, one of the interesting things that people don't um, think about is that airplanes are made by humans, and all humans make mistakes. So there's
Right.
going to be mistakes as they make it. Um, and when you're dealing with a part that's like $10,000, that mistake doesn't mean you can throw the part away. Like a car part, you can throw away because it's like maybe $2 to make, so it's just cheaper to make a new one.
Yeah.
But aircraft parts, you don't. Um, you don't necessarily throw them away. Some we do, but they'll we have a whole group that interacts between the shop and then my role, and they'll write it up and they'll send it to us, and we'll do our structural analysis again and see if the repair that they're specifying will work.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know how much you can say because I don't know what the like the confidentiality nature is of the work that you do. But so you did mention the military there.
Hmm.
Um, they have some pretty kick-ass planes, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so like what kind of structural things would you be working on? Like are they just like transportation units or like are they like combat planes or
Um,
all the above?
yeah, I've worked on um, transports, and I've worked on fighters. Yeah.
No, no, I don't have a further question. That was just kind of it. I was just kind of wondering what kind of
It's
planes you're working on.
yeah. I've had um, it'll let's see, it'll be 13 years at the end of this month, and I've worked on quite a bit of stuff across the company.
13 years only working on planes
Yeah, for Boeing.
for
So,
Boeing.
mhm.
God damn. Do they send you all over?
I've
That's
been
a huge
to.
company.
It is a huge company, and I've been lucky enough. I've gone to Macon, Georgia, where we were making some stuff. I've uh, I've been sent to Utah to customer conference to work with customers.
Yeah.
I've been sent to. I've gone up to Seattle quite a bit. Mostly North Seattle, up in the Everett area.
Uh-huh.
And they sent me to Charleston because we got a plant down there, and
Oh
so I
yeah.
was I was working on the new 787 down there.
Oh nice, nice.
Yeah.
What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't doing this?
Oh, I have no idea, honestly.
So like okay, let's just say you're still like engineering but not for planes.
Hmm. I probably would have got my PhD in engineering and tried to teach.
I would just be a teacher.
Yeah.
Not just be a teacher, not just oh
Yeah.
just be a teacher. I don't mean it that way, but okay. So still just teaching it, huh? Instead of you wouldn't want to necessarily like practice in another field or anything like that.
Yeah. M- uh, from what I've known, like talking to other friends in other fields, and what I experienced while working at Ford, it's just not the type of engineering that I like.
Yeah.
I like getting in there and getting in with the concepts, with getting in
Yeah.
and dealing with it that way. And I really like the math. I'm one of those weirdos. Um, and a lot of the other ones, they're not so much about it. Like my equivalent job up at Ford is almost after the fact. Like they would do a crush
Uh-huh.
test, and then my job was to go back and pull the forces out from what
Oh.
happened. How, like the roof collapsed this way. Well, what does that mean? So then we would go to try and reverse engineer how those what the loads are that caused it to collapse that way,
Yeah.
which is interesting, but not quite my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can totally dig that. Um, man, I had a question. I lost it. I fucking lost it. What uh what are your fucking thoughts on I was thinking about this today because we were looking on I was looking on Facebook and you saw that thing that Tracy Taylor posted
Yeah.
that fucking that meme got a lot of people riled up.
Yeah.
I don't want to get political, but I want to ask like what are your thoughts on just kind of just like just all the outrage that people are just kind of less like spewing out there. I try to avoid negativity. I'm like
Hmm.
I don't like to have that shit in my life. And
Yeah.
sorry to change the subject.
No,
That was a
no, you're
terrible
good.
segue, wasn't it? That was a
you're
terrible
you're
segue.
fine, man. This I've only got back on Facebook to kind of start promoting this book. And the reason I got off is because I love that stuff. Like I love getting in the politics. There's a friend of mine down in southern Missouri, St. James, Missouri, and he and I will go we'll go days of arguments on
Really,
Facebook. Yeah.
just back and forth on
So
there.
I got off because it was like taken away from my writing. It was taken away from, my time with my wife. So I'm like, I got to get off this. So I see that And the increased hostility is ridiculous. And I think part of it's our social media culture.
Yeah. You think that's a true representation though of kind of like what's happening in the world, or you think it's just kind of just a place that people go and then it's like, you know what I mean? Like I was thinking about your naming all these places that you're traveling and like you go to these places and it doesn't really seem too bad. People seem to be doing just fine with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But then people get online and then it's just like they just do shit that they wouldn't do in real life.
yeah, yeah. I think that it's what is it they say, and here's more made up statistics, but like 90% of our communication is nonverbal, right?
A
We
lot of
sit
it.
here and like, so if I said something to you, um, and it offended you, I would see that reaction and I would probably tone down because there's a tribal instinct, a herd instinct to like not rock the boat too much.
Yeah.
But you take all that away online and suddenly you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, no, it's some wild shit, man. I was just, dude.
It is, and for me it's so fun to watch because I can detach from it.
Yeah,
And I have rules that I try and maintain. And the first one is um and it's the one that everybody seems to violate is your arguments aren't you. If you so
yeah. I mean, our ego likes to identify and
exactly.
and defend, and
Exactly. And I think that we're getting these wonderful phones and iPads and computer and our social media and all that has connected us more to each other in a digital way, but it's taken out that person to person thing. And sitting down and having a conversation with you would be different, is way different than if we were just doing it on Messenger.
yeah,
Because you also can't really play back and forth on the other person
yeah,
in that way, and it becomes easier because we used to have unions, bowling leagues. We're lucky because we have St. Charles MMA, and everybody there like tries to make an effort.
yeah,
Like Tracy will have people over for fights or whatever, or Michael put out a call that, hey, so and so's fighting this weekend, let's get a group and go, or this tournament's coming up, let's get a group and go. Whereas I think a lot of people don't have that, and they're
yeah.
missing out on it. And so they start identifying with these nebulous things. And politics is just easy because you can pick a side and there's your enemy. That's what I believe. I could be way off, but
I mean, we are just primates, dude. I mean,
we
we're
are.
tribal, man, and
We are.
community it's an important piece of the puzzle for sure. People are definitely just looking to identify. Everybody wants to pick sides. Everybody
Hmm.
wants. I can remember, well, forever. I mean, people have always just said they always identify with something. It's always we this, we that.
Yeah.
I can remember being a little kid and like, I don't know if I've ever done that. I think I've always just been like they, like,
Yeah.
like, and that's okay. That's totally fine
Hmm.
if that's what you do. Like you identify with the football team and now it's a we. Like that's fine if that's for you. But it's just funny how people do that and then like they'll
Hmm.
go and start some shit
Yeah.
over over a sports team in a jersey.
Yeah. When I worked at Ford, they would have the big rivalry was the University of Michigan and the Ohio State. And like so when Ohio State came up to Michigan, like people like trash their cars and like dent things, and the same thing when people went to Michigan and Ohio State. I never got that.
Yeah.
I've never attached to anything. Like when I was in going to college and my address was in Illinois, I would make fun of people from Missouri just because, just to give my friends from Missouri a little bit of riling.
Yeah.
But like I never cared.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
there's there's an interesting book that you would probably like. A guy named Jonathan Haidt, and it's called The Righteous Mind, and it's about morals,
Hmm.
and a lot of it pulls in with this politics. And his thing is we we make these decisions emotionally, and then we later go back and use reason to justify it, and that a lot of our political arguments are that way. And one of the interesting things he says in the books is that when you find your political group, you get that dopamine hit, and so you almost become addicted to that type of moralizing. And it's
Hmm.
the book has me messed up because uh, I don't really trust my own opinions about myself. You know, I'm always trying to go out and research and see. And I know that sounds weird, but it's worked for me in kind of a way. It's kept me from thinking, I know the best. Like I really don't. But I'm always trying to learn. Um, a movie comes out, I watch the movie. I don't read reviews, and then I watch a movie, and then the first thing I do is I go home and start reading reviews and see what other people thought of it.
After you've watched the movie,
Yeah,
that's a good move.
yeah,
Reviews always fuck it up,
they
dude.
do.
They don't ever know. I do that same thing. I'm just like, I'm just gonna go see it.
Yeah, and I like finding out. Okay, this person liked this part. This person didn't like that part, and it's it gives me something that next movie I go to, maybe I look at it a little different, and it's someone's perspective, and it's hard to do that with politics. It's easier to do it with art. It's easier to do it with books, podcasts, TV shows, whatever you want to do. But I try to do the same thing with politics, and it's so hard because we are so polarized right now,
Yeah.
and even the political pundits, the ones that are making money, are doing it off calling the other side names. I'm like, I don't care,
Yeah, man. People believe what they believe, and they believe that shit hard.
hard.
Hard. Yeah, man. I just typically just want to be left alone. I don't know what that means. I don't really identify with any party.
The fun thing is so Mike Rogers, he's on the opposite political side with me, and he and I'll talk about it, and we'll have just civil discussions and that. And what we come down to is that we both agree on a lot of the same things. There's just a few little things we don't agree on, but because those few things were like way over on the opposite sides, it there's it's almost like there's no middle path.
Yeah.
And we're also becoming so tribal that everything's about winning, that any little bit of a movement towards the right, you're a loser, you're a traitor, whatever. Any movement, someone on the right to the left, they're now a rhino, they're not a real conservative or whatever. It's like all this gatekeeping. We tend to think of it as binary when really it should be a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Some people are far right, some people are far left, some of us are just in the middle and don't know what we want. We
I
just
mean,
want the
isn't that?
government to leave us alone.
Don't you think that's how it really is? It's just
I
not.
do. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. And man, and our whole system is just fucking weird.
It's weird.
The whole thing is just weird. I really do. I do. I mean, I agree with the idea of why do we have one guy, one head chimp
Yep.
up? Like that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Why?
And we
And we
over
use a
the
popularity contest.
yeah, sort of.
Sort of, kind of, not really, right? Because
Yeah.
you can still win the popular vote and not get the electoral college.
Yep. Of the last 7 elections, Democrats have won 6 of the 7 popular votes.
Really?
Yep.
Hmm.
And they've only won a couple of those elections. So,
Let's go back and forth.
yeah, I would, and that's what I think. I think we should go back and forth. We're going through this crazy thing about the Supreme Court justices and the nominations, all that. And someone the other day posted a really good solution to that.
Really, what was it?
Every president gets 2 nominees, and so there's a term limit. And when the new president rolls over, the people that hit their term limit are out. And so then, every time it flips back and forth, then, you're keeping the court kind of current. Because, you got these people on there that are going to be on there for all their lives. You got 80-year-olds
That's
making
the.
decisions.
That's insane to me. You
Yeah.
know what? How much change can you have in a country with a position of power like that has had so few people in
Yeah.
that position? If you're there for life, you know what I mean. You
Hmm.
got to think, what kind of values are those people holding?
Yeah.
It's probably some pretty old world values.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
How much progress can you make as a country?
How many of them, are able to text message? How many of them, like,
Who knows?
And so they're probably relying on people our age who are their aides, their law clerks,
To
and,
do all that
and
work for
do
them.
all that work for them, and who knows how that affects it, how that sways them one way or another either too. So,
Yeah, man. I mean, you just see some of the and again, I'm just when it comes to this shit, I'm just an idiot. I don't fucking know anything. Like, but it like you see some rollbacks on certain like regulations that don't
hmm
seem to be very good for the environment and shit.
yeah,
And it's like, well, that just doesn't make sense. Like, why would we do that?
yeah, yeah,
How is
and
that even legal?
uh,
You know what I mean?
yeah, no,
Like,
I agree. I don't get it. But and the problem is we will never be able to have those conversations because the people on the left have one set of language and the people on the right have a different set of language, and they'll never get it
yeah,
until you can find a way to to bridge that. One of the in so I read a book by a conservative. I like to do book reviews on my website, and I read a book by a conservative, and he's talking about racism, and he sort of acknowledged a little bit that racism helped propel Trump up. But I realized, and kind of talking to other of my friends, that there's two different the when the right and the left talk racism, they're talking by each other. They're not really talking about each other. So, like a lot of the conservative position seems to be the textbook definition. Like if I say something bad about you because of the color of your skin, that's racism. But the people on the left tend to look at it in more of a historical view, like, you know, what, less than 100 years ago, a black man and a white woman would be illegal if they got married, and that so our systems and our laws and our government are built on all of this stuff, and it's all there, and it's slowly working its way out, but it's not that just definition of like, oh, that's there.
hmm,
And neither side will acknowledge that that's what the other are talking about, and then you're considered an asshole for pointing out that that's what you're talking about, and or you're playing the race card or whatever stupid meme is going around. But
hmm.
that to me, there's like this just gap, and until we find a way to bridge it, we're gonna have a hard time. And part of that is also going to be you got to look at yourself and think, what am I doing wrong? Was I wrong? And being wrong is the hardest thing for any of us to
Nobody
admit.
likes to be fucking wrong.
No, no,
I find I'm often wrong.
I am often wrong.
Oftentimes, like I look back, I'm like, God damn, I was an asshole there. Like,
Yeah,
what the hell?
yeah. I look back and I'm like, why do people still talk to me sometimes? And but the good thing is we all realize we all make mistakes and we all do that. And making a mistake isn't an issue. Um, if we didn't make a mistake, we would never learn.
Right,
You don't learn from doing something right over and over again. You learn from fucking up and coming back from it.
right.
And I can refine the things that are good, but I don't really learn until I know. I have black belts in two other martial arts, Filipino martial arts, and they're good self-defense martial arts. But in my opinion, they're missing that ground component. And like I thought, I can kind of hold myself on the ground a little bit, and then go to St. Charles MMA, and like no, just
Hmm.
just completely wrong. Not even a little bit wrong, just completely wrong. And so you start that journey again, and then then I passed my blue belt test. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna be able to take out these white belts. And then in comes the 20-year-old wrestler who's got 20 pounds of muscle on me and is just smashing the crap out of me because I never wrestled or anything. I'm like, yeah, I gotta learn this lesson again.
Yeah,
And
yeah. You have a very stoic approach to everything. To just to how you just try to stay humble, yet you're always kind of seeking knowledge. Um, you touched on a couple different things there. I want to talk about website, writing, book. We'll get to martial arts. So there's quite a few things there. You're doing a lot of cool shit. Um, so you have a website. What is it called?
It's just primlife.com.
Primmlife.com.
Yeah, and then I got a blog and kind of other stuff on there.
Okay, so what's the other stuff that's on there? So you got the blog on there? You
Um,
do book reviews?
yeah, I've been working so much, and I've been injured this summer, and trying to get back to getting into jiu-jitsu again
Mm-hmm.
full time, and so it's mostly just been book reviews. But
Yeah.
I like to put up stuff, different stuff, kind of about my life or things that I think about.
Oh, nice.
Um,
How long you been writing?
all my life. I started writing in high school. I started writing bad poetry to get girls, of course.
You
Um,
should publish that shit.
nah, no, God no, no. For a while there, one of the I knew a lady here in St. Louis who was organizing something called Bad Readings,
Oh yeah.
and so you're supposed to bring in like the stuff you wrote in high school and read it in front of an audience. And it was I went to one of them and it was hilarious. And like the people up there, they blush and they get all that, but they get a free drink. So
Yeah,
it was a good time. But no, I couldn't do that.
that's funny.
Yeah, and I love reading. I love writing. So I've been doing that all my life. I went to UMSL, University of Missouri St. Louis, to their night program and got a master's degree in creative writing.
Oh really?
Yeah, we
Oh.
have. We're lucky in our area because we have a really good writer scene in St. Louis.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Wash U has a lot of good writing, a real good writing program. UMSL has a really good night MFA, so it worked for me because I was working full time while I was doing it. Lindenwood is putting together one.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, so what do they teach you? Like, what is it? What's it? I don't. What like? What's the curriculum like?
uh, you have to put together a packet to get in, and then when you're there, a lot of it is workshopping.
Uh huh.
So you write your piece, and then you pass it out to the class, and they have a week to read it, and then they critique it.
Oh,
And
okay.
so they'll write on the copies, and then you sit there and they talk about it. Um, they basically talk about it like you're not there.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's tough.
yeah. Holy, you want to talk about taking like some constructive
Hmm.
criticism?
Yeah, it's tough, but it's
That's good
also
though.
it is.
That's
It's
real good.
really
You talk
good.
about like thickening your skin,
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah, and you get to see. Personally, I saw a lot of blind spots that I didn't even know. I didn't
Yeah.
even know, and the good thing is I got to meet a lot of people in different walks of life that I normally wouldn't have met because they take everybody, and the the only requirement really is you got to have good writing, um, and I mean I learned so much. Like I've yeah, there's it moved me as a writer in a lot of ways. The workshops I will always remember just because they're brutal but they're really good, and I mean it's basically an open mat, right? You're out
Yeah.
there and you're getting smashed, you're getting smashed, you're getting smashed, but everybody wants you to be better. They're not
Yeah.
there trying to like look how smart I am, look how I am.
Mhm.
Everybody's trying to get better. Everybody's working on their own craft and they're all trying to lift it up.
Those are good environments to be in for
Yeah,
sure. Those are
yeah.
good environments. What do you like to write? So you're doing I understand you're like posting your book reviews, but do you have you like what else do you like to write that you don't post?
So I've been
You
working
writing
on.
essays or poetry or
I write essays, and I've been working on a novel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and um, so one of the essays that I'm kind of working on, I don't really tend to talk about them until I post them because for some reason that like kills the drive.
Oh, okay.
But one of the essays, and it'll tie back into what we were talking about earlier. One of the essays that I've really been working on is the morality of working on weapons. Um, because a few, well, actually a long time ago, I knew this Episcopalian priest, and like she was weirded out by the fact that I worked on weapons, and like to me it just never hit my mind, and
Yeah.
so like she's like, how do you deal with the fact that the things that you're working on is going to go out and kill people? And I'm like, that's interesting. I never thought about it.
What kind of weapons are we talking?
Like planes, so
Oh,
they would
okay.
deliver, mine. I guess
Okay.
technically the parts I'm working on wouldn't kill somebody, but they would take the missile there to be able to kill somebody.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm following you now. Okay. Okay. How does she
Yeah.
feel? Because you're coming. You're kind of just a piece of that puzzle, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I am part of that military industrial complex that everybody warns you about. So
yeah. So how do you feel about that anyway? As you're continuing.
I'm 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 strangely okay with it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I can't justify it. There's no I'm working on it. I like reading philosophy. I like reading morality, but I don't know. I mean, I could give you the ultimate utilitarian answer is because somebody's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. I mean, that is the yeah. I mean,
I tend to think about it as I
it's easy to remove yourself, right? Whenever
mm,
it's not like it's like I'm just working on a fucking plane. Like
yeah,
whatever the intention of the user is not necessarily your. I
yeah,
mean, your moral judgment to make. You're just trying to make sure that the user is safe.
yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people use that as a reason. That's my main concern is like the people in the cockpit or the passengers that are in the airplane is getting them from point A to point B safe. You know,
Yeah.
some point B or point C somewhere between those two, they may be dropping a torpedo in the water to go to kill somebody.
It happens.
Yeah, yeah, it does, and
S
it's a weird thing to think about because I don't watch those like beheading videos. I don't watch
yeah, me
the
neither.
blow up videos. I don't have stomach for that. But and then you think, well, I'm a cog in that machine, and there's no good answer.
Yeah, man. It's not one of those things that you think about probably getting into it, but it's just kind of one of the things that come with the package.
Yeah,
But so you wrote about that,
yeah.
and this is an essay that is not yet released, or will be, or
I'm
is
I'm
released.
working on it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
in working,
Oh
and
man, you shared it. All right,
yeah,
we don't want to kill the drive.
no, no, because I mean,
Now there's
it's
social pressure. Everybody
yeah,
heard about it.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's something that I wrestle with constantly,
Yeah.
constantly. You know, and kind of to bring it back on a more local level, think about because we do martial arts, the stuff that we know could really hurt somebody really bad,
Yeah.
and yet you walk around and someone in traffic flips you off, you just kind of laugh and just walk off, because it's uh,
Yeah.
I don't know, we walk around with that morality, and we know that we're not ever going to have to use it. But we also know that if something came up, we could definitely use it.
Yeah, it's nice to have that peace of mind. There's no reason to ever have to show it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You just kind of have this calm confidence. But here's the
Hmm.
fucking thing though. I know even more so that there are a lot of people out there that are fucking way badder than me that don't look like that are smaller than me,
Uh
look
huh.
less than me. I'm just like, man, who are old, like they might be 20, 30 years older than me. Like,
Yeah.
dude, there's some bad motherfuckers out there.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just also knowing the fact how like you whether it's like my physical capabilities or whether it's just like my learning endeavors, it's like the more you know, the more I feel like I know nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
It's like I learn more, and it's just like fuck, dude, I know absolutely nothing. There's so much more to know,
Yeah.
and I don't know any of it.
I always think like Joe Lozon from the UFC, man. You see that guy out, you're not gonna think like,
He's gonna
but
fuck you
he's
up.
gonna fuck you up, and he's gonna do it, and he's gonna look good doing it too, and he's gonna make you look like it's gonna be a viral video.
Yeah, yeah. You know who was like that? And do you know Quentin O'Brien?
Yeah.
I want to have Quentin on the podcast.
Yeah. He would be good.
He whenever I first met Quentin, and if you didn't know him, I mean, he's a very handsome man. Like he's well spoken. He's like a nice looking dude. Quentin will wreck your fucking world. Like he
Hmm.
is a world Muay Thai fucking champion.
Yeah.
Like you see the guy, in a suit and tie, I'm sure at work, but very nice guy. He'll
Yeah,
fuck you up
yeah. So I've
in a
seen him.
different way. He won't like choke you out or break your bones or anything like that, but he'll just like make you eat some nasty knees and elbows and shit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it can be anybody, and it can be in any way that they can bring the heat.
So I'm used to seeing him, in his get up at the gym and getting ready to spar or teach class or whatever. Um, and then I've seen him a couple times at work in like the suit and that, and I always walk by, and it's like I'm halfway out the door before I realize who it was, because it's my mind just doesn't overlay that on him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
and
bad fucker, dude.
yeah,
When I first met him, I was in the gym and he was walking around a lot smaller then, and I didn't know him, and I think we sparred or something, and he just man he beat me up.
yeah,
There's no other way to put that, and it was a good time.
man, that's what I think about that gym. Like you go in there, you get beat up, but it's a good time.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, we have so many cool ass people there.
we really do.
We really really do. So you got published in a book.
Yes.
You two essays,
Two essays.
right?
Yes.
Tell me about these.
The
Tell me
book
about the
is
book.
called "Putting the Science in Fiction." It's from Writer's Digest and edited by my friend Dan Cobold.
Cool.
Um, he he's a published author. He's got a trilogy of portal fantasy novels, um, and as he was going through his process, as he was learning his craft, he put a blog up, and he has a lot of good information on helping new writers kind of get out there. And he ended up starting this series called Science and Sci-Fi and Fact and Fantasy. And so experts would just they would submit an article. He came to me he sent me an email and he's like, somebody asked me this question and it's an engineering question and I don't know how to answer it. Do you think you could take a whack at it? And so I looked at the question and it wasn't really in my expertise. So I ended up writing an article on how to ask an expert. So, I know you're doing your fitness thing and I know you eat healthy. So, like, somebody comes to you and, like, hey, dude, how do I lose 10 pounds? You're kind of like, well, that's not really a question.
It's nuanced, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you could be like, go on Google and just type it in, and then when you have specific questions, come back to me. So my article was to try and help people narrow it down so that when they go to the expert, they can ask a question that's not really going to waste the expert's time. So like, hey, Adam, I just got these maces. Can you show me a couple exercises? I'm having a hard time moving around, and I don't think I'm getting the best. You'd be like, sure, and then it's specific and it's taken you seriously. It's not like um, basically wasting your time.
Yeah, it's having a plan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
having a plan.
And so that essay was there, and then I got so that's in the book. It's revised and expanded in the book, and I'm pretty happy with that because like you said, most people don't really know what an engineer is.
Right. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, and so they'll come to me and they'll ask questions that I have no clue.
I pretend. I'm like, yeah, I do.
I mean, there's I mean, especially now as our knowledge increases and people have to go more specialized. Like doctors now are getting real specialized, right?
Right.
Because we're learning so much and it takes so much knowledge to cure some of these things. So, they came and his question, and not to put him on the spot, but his question was like, if an apocalypse comes, would there still be running water? And the answer is maybe, because it depends on what type of apocalypse. Is it a nuclear apocalypse? Is it a zombie apocalypse?
Zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah.
If it is, I'm asking.
No, there should be,
There
as
should
long
still
as
be water,
there's
right?
yeah, as long as there's electricity running to pump the water. Yeah.
Why would the electricity stop if there's a zombie apocalypse?
Um. Well, I mean, you gotta have people there to keep process is going right, and if the whatever's generating the
So none of it's
electricity falls
automatic.
apart, no, no. I mean, it's as automatic as it can be, but I mean, even stuff breaks, stuff falls down, and you got to have somebody to repair it and keep it going.
That's true.
Um, you know, think about like we get high winds here in Missouri, and electricity lines fall down.
Someone's gotta go fix that.
Yeah, somebody's got to go fix that,
We
and
need more
so
robots.
yeah, we do,
Better
we
robots.
do, and that was kind of where I was going. Like if it's if it's like a nuclear war, if they set off a nuke up in the atmosphere, we may not get like the radiation and the fallout that, but there will be an electromagnetic wave that comes and fries all our electronics.
Oh,
So, I mean, and the water is going to run as long as there's pressure in the system, but once the pumps fail and the pressure dissipates, no more running water. And
oh. So
yeah,
then, what do we do then? Go to wells.
yeah, go to wells. Yeah, go to wells, go to rivers. Um,
Go find a spring.
Go find a spring. Yeah, go back to nature.
That's the move. I wish I could find a spring now.
Yeah. So that kind of spurred me on, and um, it's actually the first essay in the book. There's a preface by a well-known author, Chuck Wendig, who I really like, and then Dan writes an introduction to it, and then I'm off to the races. And let's see, I got this here. I
Get
wrote
some
it
notes
down.
there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's 39 experts for 59 chapters or essays. So there's a lot of stuff. Most people are in the book, I think, twice. My second one is about designing realistic spaceships,
Yeah.
because a lot of our spaceships aren't, a lot of our fictional stuff, like Star Wars and that, are kind of based on the dogfight movies of like thinking about like World War One with the Red Baron and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not really how space is going to be.
How wrong do they have it? Phil, let's learn about it.
Sort of wrong.
Sort of wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
How would it be?
uh, there wouldn't be windows in space. You wouldn't need a window because you can't really pilot it. Space is gigantic and it's mostly empty and it's mostly really dark. Um, the only camouflage you would need in space is to paint everything black because it would really blend in. And the stars are far enough apart that you maybe block one. You wouldn't block a whole lot of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, so there's not like a whole bunch of like debris and whatnot out there, rocks and such. Or...
The around our planets, around Earth, we have a really bad um, garbage up there, satellites and everything. It's
Yeah.
there's a website, and I don't know what it is, but you can track NASA tracks all the garbage that's in space, and you can go look at it.
We're fucking everything
We
up,
are, we
dude.
are,
Holy cow.
we do mess things up, and it used to be launch windows were for like just weather, but now they got to pay attention to satellites flying overhead so that they don't shove
Hmm.
the astronauts up into a satellite as it takes off. Um, but
But I guess if you're not near Earth, right? So if you're just like out in space,
yeah,
then it's just mostly empty. There's not a
it's just
lot.
mostly empty.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought.
Yes, and it's so big
The vastness.
we can't understand.
To comprehend that sort of vastness, you'd have to be on like a psychedelic or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you'd you just be like, what is going on out here with
yeah.
all of this? And I don't know, man. It'd be. Have you heard? And I could be making this up. Who knows? But I feel like maybe it was like, and it could have been maybe a conspiracy theory thing that I heard, but it was talking about like some astronauts, like many astronauts reporting like being in space and like weird, like seeing weird shit, like unexplainable, not like lights, like
hmm
unexplainable moving lights and shit. Have you heard this?
I've heard it. I haven't done a whole lot of research into it, so I can't talk on it.
Oh,
But
okay.
it so it wouldn't surprise me at all. But I would look more towards more mundane explanations.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be, but
Uh, you know, our brains are weird,
yeah.
and you get out there and you can't imagine looking up and just seeing nothing.
I listened to a really good Radio Lab podcast,
Hmm.
and they were talking about how it's the blackest black, blacker than anything you can even think of on this earth.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and it's they there's that saying about the looking into the abyss. It really is looking into the abyss, and it's weird because we have this nice ground underneath us, but when you're up there, there's nothing underneath you. It's just that shuttle, so you're floating at all times. And then when you're out, the best um, there's two types of extra they call it extra vehicular movement or activity or something. But there's one where you're attached to a tether to the space shuttle, and then there's one where you're not, and you just have a jetpack on.
Yeah, and then just do a little burst of air.
Yeah, just a little burst of air, and there's nothing to slow you down. You make a mistake, you could just head off forever. How
Holy
terrifying is that?
dude, I've sat here and I've watched movies before. And I'm just like, fuck, dude. There's been moments to where like I don't know if I was like meditating or just something like I've sat there and like it's only happened a few times, but it's just like the vastness. Like I really thought about it, like the vastness of it all, kind of
Hmm.
like sank in for a second. I'm just like, holy like it freaked me the fuck out, dude.
Yeah,
I'm just like, it's all so big.
it's so
it's
big.
it's all just keeps going. It's out there, and I'm just small, man.
Yeah, we're tiny.
So insignificant
We're
in the
tiny,
grand scheme of it all.
and so there's our solar system, and then we're a part of a galaxy, which is part of a cluster of galaxy, which is a part of like these giant networks of galaxies.
Right.
And it's so big. It's so we will never we will what's sad to think is we will never know 99.9 basically repeating forever about the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's there in it's so big that there's probably somebody on the other side of the universe, some other species, two guys sitting down on it doing their form of podcasting, and we'll never know.
Never fucking know, dude.
Yeah,
Anything's possible. I
anything.
the that knowledge of like just how vast and like I almost just look as humans as like we're just like an organism on this earth
Hmm.
because like well I mean not just almost but like we're always worried about something happening to the earth. I
Hmm.
mean, it's definitely for selfish reasons because we want to live because at the end of
Yeah,
the day like the earth will be fine.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
It's gonna be fine.
it's like we'll all die.
We'll die.
But the earth will be totally fine. So, but with that knowledge, like it can also be very like almost you can definitely make it positive in the sense like, dude, like you can fuck it, like this is it, like this is the one, like you can make anything happen, like
Yeah,
just with that understanding of whatever like life can be whatever you want it to be is like if you have a fucking plan like just you want to put in the fucking work then you can make it happen.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody's writing the rules for you.
No, no. And as we've seen the past few years, even the rules that we thought everybody was abiding by, they just don't exist.
Yeah, because I know me growing up, I always heard people probably fucking like, oh, he's gonna say this again, but it's like, you go to college and you get your degree, and then you go get a corporate job, and
Hmm.
and then like you do that route, and it's like, God, dude, like in my opinion, it's probably not the most solid advice for a 18-year-old or 17-year-old who doesn't even know who the fuck they are. They're like their brain's not fully developed. They don't know what the fuck's going on. You're a rarity,
Yeah,
obviously. You
I
know what the
am.
fuck you want to do. If you know, then fucking go do that
Yeah.
for sure. But a lot of us went and we just racked up debt and
Yep.
and just later found out like, man, that really probably wasn't the move for me at that point in time. Like
I
I've
agree,
gotten
man.
I've gotten better at learning as I've gotten older. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I appreciate it a whole lot more.
Yeah. I strangely enough, it wasn't until I I was in my mid 30s when I really learned the best way for me to learn. Um, and it's sad because college passed me by, you know, and I wonder like how much better could I have done if I had known this back then.
Right.
My take on it now is we place way too much emphasis on college, and I wish corporations and businesses didn't have that emphasis on you need a college degree just to talk to us. That to me, especially the way our system of education is, because I'm good at I'm marginally good at tests. I had a friend in high school who was great at tests, and like he just skyrocketed and he could take a test anything, but applying that knowledge to the real world was he just wasn't good at it. And
Yeah.
like trying to, and he ended up finding a very good career that works for him. But I think that he went to college and he excelled at college, and because he was a good student, he had scholarships. But to me, a lot of the scholarships were wasted on him because what he ended up doing is something that doesn't need the degree that he got. You know,
Really.
yeah, and he's happy, and I'm happy for him. But I think about that. We test knowledge in such strange ways
Mm-hmm.
that if everybody doesn't conform, then these people are stupid. When not really, those people just have different ways of doing things.
Yeah, I suck at standardized tests. So, I mean, it's typically like I guess if you want to go on the coast, you usually
Hmm.
take like the SAT
Hmm.
and the ACT usually for like the rest of us.
Yeah.
And I took the ACT. Dude, I think I got like a 19. This is how like I was not that smart. Like I took like a I think I got a 19 the first time I took it,
Hmm.
and I took it again. I think I got maybe like a 21. Like
Nice.
I did not do good on that thing, but like I feel like I've learned pretty well. Like, and I feel like now things come a whole lot. Like I've learned how to learn.
Hmm.
So like now, I don't know. I just feel like that test is just a terrible marker. I feel like those standardized tests are just a terrible marker.
They are.
But
I think so.
yeah,
I took the ACT 3 times.
I sucked at that thing.
I got the same score every time, but the scores that make up the end score, they were all completely different each time.
Really, what'd you get?
I got a 28, I believe, and I needed a 30 to get a scholarship.
Yeah, I knew a guy who just like fucked around and partied. We've all heard this story, right? The guy who
Mm,
parties the night before and then he goes in there and takes like gets like a
yeah,
34, 35.
yeah.
What's the perfect? Like 36 is perfect,
36
right?
is perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
We all know that kid who got that too.
yep,
Yeah, I was on the
yeah,
other end of the spectrum. See, I
yeah.
shouldn't have been going to fucking college. I was wasting it.
Well, I think that we put a lot of effort on college that shouldn't be. You should go to college. I mean, there should be like the technical schools, like I did, engineering, or if you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, there's that route. But I know a lot of people who went to college and they're great artists, they're great writers, and they went there for that, and um, they're saddled with a lot of debt right now.
Right.
But they were able to find this expression for themselves that maybe they wouldn't have if they'd have gone outside because they started writing. I think that we don't look at college as self enhancement. We look at it as this is what I need to get a job. And to me that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely probably not the best way to go into it.
Yeah.
Also, it's just the cost of it has just
It's
it's
ridiculous.
exceeded like inflation,
Mhm.
and it's just so easy to get just just a mountain of debt piled onto you. You
Mountains
know
of
what I
debt.
mean? So, but it's definitely a good place to kind of learn. It's just a shame that as you're trying to learn different things, because like I took classes and I was like, oh fuck, I didn't realize I was interested in that, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So like there's that discovery piece, which is kind of cool if that is what you wanted to do, but it's just a shitty ass system. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a terrible system.
Yeah. If we could if we could get it somewhere where it's I mean cost effective but where you can explore your interests,
Yeah.
because I really think that I don't like thinking of school as something where it's you're just being funneled into a job.
Yeah.
I want school as something that makes you just a better person.
Well, and the thing is, though, a lot of it isn't even being funneled into a job. That's also the
Yeah.
problem, right? I mean, and really just a a bachelor's degree is almost kind of viewed like just a high school diploma is the way
Anymore, yeah.
yeah, and it's like if you want to stick out, then you got to get a master's degree,
Mhm.
and it's like that's even more money,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
went that route.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah,
Yeah. I have a friend who's in physical therapy, and when he got his degree, the master's is what you needed, and now you almost need a PhD in physical therapy to stand out, and it just keeps elevating and elevating and elevating, and all that's going to tell you is that I'm good at knowledge and I'm good at regurgitating knowledge in a way that the person who's asking likes it.
right,
You know, you you almost need an internship, uh, but I mean, even those nowadays are getting abused and people aren't getting paid. But there needs to be like a year where you come in and you do the work and see if you can actually do it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I got I partied a lot in my undergrad, so I got mid-level grades, and I've now I'm doing work along I'm ranked alongside the people that were getting 4.0s and really nose to the grindstone and stuff, just because I can do my job this way. But if you were to come in and like ask me to take a test now, especially over I would be like, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
I can't do this test, and so I get good ratings at work. I get I'm not in danger of losing my job. I get some awards here and there, but I couldn't take a test. I would probably get like a B or a C on a test.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, fuck that.
yeah,
I wasn't very good at school, and then after undergrad, I was working as a security guard, third shift.
okay,
And so overnight, all I did was like I worked on my business plan, and then like I worked and I read a whole bunch of books and I'd watch movies,
nice.
catch a few C's every now and
Yeah,
then. But yeah, so I read every 3 days was a new book though. I was constantly reading books,
hmm,
and then after that, after that, like I became a better reader. Like, and a lot of it was like self development and like sociology and psychology and
nice.
just a ton of different like I don't really do fiction. It's mostly
Hmm,
nonfiction. So I just got better at learning through that process. And then whenever I actually went back to grad school, I graduated with the 4.0, and it was just so much easier.
hmm.
I'm just like, school's way easier when you're older.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, yeah,
And part of it is you have life experience too.
that's true.
And as we age, we learn to balance our times a little better. In high school and college, I had no time management skills, you know, and it paid off in some ways because like I was pure chaos and that's always fun, but in other ways, like I could have done better if I would have just been a little bit more structured and maybe dedicated a little bit more time to this. But I mean, I'd sit down to study, and then somebody like, "Hey, we're gonna go play basketball." Like, well,
Yeah,
might as well go do it. Um, and now it's like, okay, I'm gonna study, then we'll go play basketball.
yeah,
And I'm just better at structuring my time. Yeah,
yeah. The discipline comes with age.
it does.
It really does. Martial arts helps with that too, though. When did you get into martial arts? What's your path in martial arts?
I've done it off and on all my life. So I loved what got me into it was the Karate Kid.
Karate?
Loved the Karate Kid.
Oh, great movie.
Great movie. Um,
Sweep the leg.
and started doing karate and in our little town, and the guy who taught in our town, he did Shotokan karate, which was interesting, and then he switched styles, and then he moved, and so I kind of got out of it, and then I found Bruce Lee, and so I really liked Bruce Lee, but he had passed by the time I had found him, so I found his uh, protege Dan Inosanto, And so I started doing research on him because he's out in California and you can go to his school and train with him. And he focuses on a little bit more of the, at the time, were lesser known martial arts like Filipino martial arts, Indonesia martial arts, Thai boxing. Um, and so I got into that and and that's how I got started on the Filipino martial arts.
Okay.
But in college, I went to Eastern Illinois University my first couple years. And in college, uh, a girl I was dating was like, there's this self defense course. We got to go. So, all right, let's go. And it was free. It was 8 weeks. So I'm like, okay, you're cute. I want to stick around with you. So let's go. So we ended up going, and the guy there was, walk in. He's probably like 6'4", 210, built dude, bald. Um, and so he's teaching just some basic stuff like eye pokes and that. And start talking with him, like I've done karate in the past. He's like, you should come train with us. And he gave me like an outside training thing. Well, he was an MMA fighter at the time. Jim Theobald, probably don't know him.
Mm-mm.
He fought Little Nog. That's like
Oh, did he?
that's one of his top
Oh
ones.
shit.
Yeah, he kind of fought between Chicago and downstate Illinois. Um, I don't know when he retired, but the last I heard of him was I left there in '99, I think.
This is the early days.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and his instructor, I think, worked with Megaton because the only person I knew was Megaton Diaz because of him. And so he came in and he was teaching us. It wasn't Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because I didn't have a gi and we mostly just did no gi stuff. Although he had a gi, which made no sense, and he had a white belt, and we're just rolling around and doing a bunch of stuff. And so I liked the Filipino stuff, but I liked the ability to just go all out.
Yeah.
Because like you can't in Thai boxing, you can't with sticks and knives, you can't go all out. Somebody's gonna get very badly hurt. You know, um, whereas you and we can go and we can do this 100 times, and I can tap 100 times, and still go, still go.
Right.
Yeah, and so
So you're saying that's what you like about jiu-jitsu compared to the
yeah,
Filipino martial arts? Oh, okay, okay. I almost lost you there for a second.
yeah,
So the two Filipino martial arts are they both knife
yeah,
fighting?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, so the Filipino martial arts, they all kind of have knife fighting. There's just tons of them. Um, but the one that I do, the main one is there. I train them both under the same instructor. The first one is Counterpoint Tactical System, which is created by Zach Whitson, and it's got like three pillars. It's got American Kempo Karate, Pakiti Tershikali, and then Kukoi Dosai Paris Eskrima. And so I have a black belt in that, and then he also he also ranks people in Kukoi Dosai Paris, so I have a black belt in that too. So
Okay.
it's part of his system, but he doesn't teach American Kempo Karate or Pakiti Tershi. He doesn't teach those separately. They're part of his
It's kind
system.
of a blend system that he's
Yeah,
developed.
yeah, and so there's some stuff that he's pulled in, some stuff he's kept, some stuff he's thrown out. But on the Kukoi side, if you go that route, then you get the whole system from
Oh, okay.
it. So
And you're on both sides.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I earned belts in both of them, black belts in both of them. It's a real good self-defense based system.
The
It's got
movement
a
was really cool.
what?
The movement was really cool. Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt. That was
no,
bad
no worries.
timing.
The it's a it's a really good art for self-defense. Um, it's more like a jack of all trades, I guess. You can become an expert in the stick fighting stuff, uh, but you learn a lot of boxing. You learn the Filipino style of boxing. You learn stick. You learn knife. You learn staff. You learn a little bit of ground, a little bit of takedowns. So you kind of you got a good mix of everything, but they don't quite go as deep on the ground stuff as the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu does. Um, and I I'm never gonna outbox a boxer, but I'm gonna be able to hold my own with somebody who doesn't know boxing.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna be able to out leg kick a Thai guy, but I'm gonna be able to leg kick somebody on the street.
Right. And check kick.
Yeah, Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And
So you can defend yourself, and you
yeah,
can.
yeah, and those and he's got a really good system because it's really structured. So, you know, his main student is in Pittsburgh. Sorry, Pittsburgh. He's got people in Florida and North Carolina and Atlanta, Georgia, and that. And if you go to each one of those, they're all going to be working from the same curriculum. So for white belt, you from white belt to blue belt,
Hmm.
there's each of them have three like containers, and then from white belt to blue belt, there's so much you got to learn. What was it? Panantukan, which is Filipino boxing. You got to learn how to jab, how to parry. You got to learn the 12 angles, so how to move the stick 12 angles. And then you got to learn pangamat, which is empty hand versus stick.
Okay.
And so every white belt in the system is going to learn that. And then blue to green, you're going to learn the knife angles, start the knife tapping that I did with you guys, and what was it? Single stick defenses. And so he's got like a set progression on up to like fifth degree black belt. Um,
So, and then what you taught, because you held that 1 day workshop
hmm
at the gym,
Yeah,
that was just the knife fighting piece of it.
just that was just the empty hands versus knife.
Just
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, there's
That was some cool shit.
yeah, it's fun. It starts off empty hand versus knife, then it goes to knife versus knife, and then it goes to double knife versus double knife. And so I mean it gets complex and it gets nuanced along the way, and it's a really good system. There's there's a lot to learn there.
It'd be a good skill to have to be good with a knife like that.
Yeah, but again, it's that thing you learn that there's somebody out there. There's a 3 foot tall Filipino old man that's wrinkly and all that can pull out that knife and just
Oh
stab you 80
gosh,
times.
dude, that's crazy to even think about how fast they can move with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Holy shit, dude.
yeah. The biggest thing that martial arts taught me is that you just walk away.
Yeah,
Just absolutely walk away and everything.
it's not worth it.
Nothing's worth it because you don't know how crazy the other person is.
Problem is when you're young and full of
Yeah,
testosterone. Come on, bro. I
yeah.
could take him.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And there's a weird thing, and this is where jujitsu kind of beats all other martial arts, in my opinion. Oh, judo's probably the same way, and sambo's probably the same way. When you have a martial art where you can spar, but you can't go 100% all out, you never really know, you know.
That's true.
But in jiu-jitsu,
100%, because some men will grab you, or women even.
Yeah,
Somebody will grab you, and you're just like, holy, like
yeah,
they are the real deal,
yeah.
man. And it's like you try as hard as you want, and it's like quicksand. It's just like
hmm
they're gonna do what they want,
Yeah.
man.
And so then you get, in the traditional martial arts, you get this like, will it really work? You just never know. You just never know. Is this really going to work? But in jiu-jitsu, like, I know it's going to work because I get out there or you go to a tournament. That person doesn't even know you. Maybe they looked you up on YouTube if you put some on YouTube or whatever, but they have no idea who you are, what you're going to do. And so you're facing them. Then at the end of that 5 minutes,
Yeah.
you guys were, one of you's better, or you're the same, or but there's an
You know what the
answer.
deal is.
Yeah,
Yeah, you usually know it pretty quickly. Like,
yeah,
yeah, you know it. I feel like I lost my second match at Worlds,
hmm
at World Masters. I don't. Anyway, and he and I both knew who was better. If he doesn't know that I was better than him, he's full of shit because I just got tired. I was so tired.
you were tired.
Man,
Yeah,
I gassed out. I didn't know I needed to be in fight shape. I thought I was gonna have longer than 5 minutes between those rounds. No excuses. He won. Good for him.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
my jiu-jitsu was better than his though.
yeah. And then then
He
you
had to
run
buy
into
the
that.
first round. He had to
Yeah, that
buy.
that sucks. And then you run into that, man, where you may be the better person, but you just worked your ass off. You're coming home off, a day's worth of hard labor or something, and some idiot who just woke up steps up to you and swings at you. So you're exhausted,
Yeah.
and this person who may be chemically enhanced to like try and kill you. It's the and that the fact that a lot of those traditional martial artists never know, I think that puts a little bit of sand in their ego, and so
Yeah.
they're more willing to do something. Whereas, a lot of the people who fought are just like, I don't care, dude. You
Yeah,
know?
they're eager to prove, so they got something to prove,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. It's sad, but
Yeah.
that's 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 the way it is. And I love. I was telling Tracy this the other day. To me, jujitsu, from transitioning to white belt to blue belt, jiu-jitsu is basically a mirror, right? It just shows you who you are,
Yeah.
and you can't lie to yourself.
Nope.
I go in there and you put your knee on my belly and I tap. I can't be like, well,
No, yeah, absolutely. Nope. At the end of the day, it's like, you know what, man? I was a pussy.
I tap to pressure, and
Yeah.
it's, one of my favorite moments in the gym is we were working on we were preparing for a tournament and Sampo was there helping out. Josh Sampo, UFC veteran, tiny little tough bastard.
Yeah.
And we're doing rolling and he throws me in a choke and he's got me in a guillotine choke and he hit and he kind of squeezes and I tap right as he's letting go and he basically, and I call it my don't be a pussy moment. He would not, it wasn't like that at all because he was like really inspiring and all that, but I can't help but think it's like don't be a pussy. He's like, you didn't even fight it, you didn't try, you just, the moment it was on there you tapped. And he goes, when it's against us brown belts, you got to at least try to fight it. You can't,
Yeah.
and he goes, when it's the purple belts, the brown belts, the black belts, they're not gonna, they're not gonna snap it on, so you don't have to worry about that.
They're gonna lock it up.
They're gonna lock it up, and they may even, like he was doing, giving me a chance to fight out of it and to learn my limit and to push myself.
Yeah.
And so I think about that, and it's like, he's right.
Yeah, he's so right. That's such an important thing. And man, the safest person to roll with is definitely the highest belt in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I personally have always I'm always priding myself like I want to be like one of the, if not the safest fucking guy to
Hmm.
roll with at the gym.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, there's countless times where I've with some lower belts, like I've thrown something on or
Hmm.
whatever, an arm bar or something, and they just immediately tap. As soon as it's just like, oh nope,
Yep.
you're fucking with my arm, you're fucking with my shoulder, whatever the
Hmm.
case may be. They just immediately tap. It's like, dude, just let's work through this. Like you're
Hmm.
not gonna be hurt. It'll be totally fine. Like I'm not gonna hurt you.
Yeah. And it's an important lesson, but at the end you got to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, who am I? Am I the guy that's going to fight through that, or am I the guy that's just going to keep tapping?
Yeah, because that's a moment of panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always talk about, like, we've got big guys in our gym. We've got big guys in our gym, but I've never felt claustrophobic by, I've had Tracy mounted on me, pushing my face into the mats,
Yeah.
never felt claustrophobic. Rice House gets on me, mounts me, and I feel claustrophobic.
Yeah, for the folks listening, we're talking about Matt Ricehouse. He is a black belt under Rodrigo Vaghi. And he is, how tall is Matt? Probably 5'10"?
Yeah.
5'10", 170,
If that.
165.
165, 160,
And
he's rail thin and he's athletic and
he's a savage.
he's a savage. He's the guy that you would look at and you would just, your eyes would scan right past in the bar, but he would murder the hell out
He
of
will
you.
murder you in a second. He is a vicious black belt in jiu-jitsu. He was an awesome fighter back in
Awesome
the day. Had
fighter.
some great wins in Strike Force in its heyday. And yeah, we're lucky to have him at the gym.
But man, I haven't tapped to being smothering to anybody but him.
Really?
When I was a white belt, he tapped me, and he gets up and he looks and he goes, "Oh man, why'd you do that?" And I like feel so disappointed in myself.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I felt so disappointed in myself, and I had to go home. And like the next time I rolled with him, I'm like, "It ain't happening.
Just don't do it.
Just don't do it. Keep all that panic attack inside."
Oh, yeah. Those things are vicious. Eric Primm. We just went almost an hour and a half.
Damn.
I know. Time flies.
Time flies.
Good
This was
stuff.
fun, man.
Hey man, how can folks get in touch with you, or is anywhere you want to direct them? They can say hello, ask questions,
Yeah.
plug the book, anything you want to plug.
So my blog is a good way to keep up with me. Primmlife.com. I'm mostly on Twitter nowadays. I've reopened my Facebook account, but I'm not going to keep it open for much longer.
Twitter's
Probably
the place.
Twitter's a place, and it's at Primmlife, Primmlife.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
oh, and then what's the blog? Did you
Primmlife.com.
primlife.com.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. Yep.
That's
Appreciate
it.
it. And
All right.
one more time, the book is Putting the Science in Fiction.
Put in the science and fiction. All right, folks. Until next time.